evening and welcome to DJNTV tonight, Monday night. It's the time when people would be watching football, but nobody likes football. It's a time where
soccer.
Yeah, soccer. This could be the time people would be preparing the Thanksgiving turkey if it were Thanksgiving week. This could be the time that they were putting the little stockings by the fireplace and with care if it would be Christmas time. But it's not. It's Monday night and it's our time.
It's also the night that I set my garbage out.
Oh, well, that's pretty exciting too.
You got to set your priorities.
Yeah, you are a wild man, my friend.
Yeah, man. I'm walking outside the house for a couple minutes,
Oh, man, that's crazy talk there. Crazy talk. Hey, thank you guys for being with us tonight. I see Trevor, Mikey jumping in there. Let's see, who else is with me? Jesse, Howie's in there, and I've got Brian, Bill, a few others there that I can't that are coming up as Facebook users. So thank you guys for jumping in.
Got that many. I'm looking at the same feed as you.
So there's I wonder if yours goes back as far as where. Well, no, that should
Probably
be about the same.
I logged in way after you.
Yeah,
this is behind the scenes banter that we're seeing numbers differently because we're both logged into the same thing, but yet
different ways. You're through the website, and I'm through the who knows. So.
Yeah. So, anyways,
so tonight, MJ,
we're missing someone, aren't we?
Yeah, we're missing Dan. Dan is.
I was waiting for him to start the show, and I thought that's what we were going to wait. He started, but you jumped in.
Oh, there's Dan. Right, Dan's in the chat room with us right now. So yeah, Dan's doing some dad things tonight. He's got I think a football game. Is that what he said?
Yeah, and I don't think it was soccer either.
No, it was probably American football. So we'll be international and refer to it as American football. But yeah, Dan is
just messing with people because when you do that, then you go football. Do you mean soccer football, American football, Canadian football, Australian football? Which one are you talking about?
All of it. It's this new version where it's all of them at the same time.
Oh, imagine all of that put together.
Oh, somebody get black and blue for sure. For sure.
Anyways,
so Dan's off doing that, and he'll be with us again coming back next week. But tonight, what I wanted to kind of touch on is a topic that's been going around again. Is the whole idea, and I think part of this came from when Brian was talking about going into events and just kind of, in his words, freestyling it, where instead of having kind of a set playlist or to have sets of music put together and engineered in advance, like a lot of DJs like to do. Just going in there and flying by the seat of the pants, for lack of a better way to describe it. He didn't use that words, but that's really kind of what you're going in there is doing that. And I really wanted to talk about that. Is our sets something that people do nowadays? Is it not as kosher? Is it something that sets have become flexible? Going back into the late 80s, early 90s, from old DJs that I've talked to, because I wasn't around back then DJing, but it used to be that they would put 3 to 5 songs on a cassette, and they would be pre-mixed in the studio. They'd be put on a cassette, and it's like, okay, so I want to hear Brown Eyed Girl at the time. Well, it was on this. It was the third song on this cassette. So you'd put it in, play song 1, play song 2, play Brown Eyed Girl, then you'd play the 4 and 5. Then you'd go to the next cassette. This is how many multi-systems worked in Minnesota back in that time frame. It was all about sets. Today, are those even applicable? Do you guys think of your music in the 3-song sets? If I'm going to play this, I'm going to be playing this and this for sure. Is that something you do? MJ, how do you view this?
I believe this is one of those topics that I need to do a disclaimer.
Well, let's see. We're 5 minutes into the show. We can get our first disclaimer in.
Okay. Now remember that this is just my opinion. Please do not yell at John or Disc Jockey News. If you have a problem with what I have to say, tell me. And probably the best thing for you to do is not to tell me because I don't care. But the reason I say that is whatever works for you, you should be doing. But with that said, I cannot fathom the DJs that have a list of songs and cannot or will not, depending on their mindset, deviate from that list. There's nothing wrong. I'm not talking about having a list and working off the list. I'm talking about going, I'll get to that in a bit because it's 12 songs down. And it's not a mix set. It's just you won't mix out of that order. And it drives me bananas that someone can't be flexible To me, that's someone who has not put the effort into being able to mix. So that's the extreme end of it that I'm talking about, that looks at a playlist and does not deviate because they can't.
And that's one of the things I really love about when you got the capability to auto mix, is that you can put those songs in you put all 12 songs in there, and then in Megaseg it will automatically play those songs, but if you move one of them up, it'll adjust properly.
That's the other thing. Again, I have to disclaimer this, that I don't want to insult anybody, but if you're using auto mix, you're not a DJ. You provide a music service. Okay, so we're talking about being a programmer who can put together a list by reading the crowd. Now, I am a firm believer in full-out flexibility. Those who know me and follow me on my show with my virtual DJ stuff, and they talk about, why don't you do a show on... I want to tell you this before I tell you that, John. Mm-hmm. The other night we were talking on the show, I was asking, because it was the 100th show for the music and mixing, and I was asking, what kind of topics do you want, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, dude, let's do one on crates or folders. And I'm like, I've done like 2 or 3 of them. And I'm like, well, I think other people have. So we went to the Disc Jockey News live on the thing, went to the YouTube page, and I went into there and typed in crates. And there was 20 videos between you, me, Dan did one with somebody, Jeremy did one with somebody, Brian did some with somebody about crates. So it's done to death. And if you want to learn more, they're there. But I think you should be able to read a crowd and work it. That's what I've always said, that a good DJ can do 2 things: read the crowd, read the people in front of you. What are you going to call them, a crowd or room? I don't give a flying crap. Read them to know what gets them to do what you want them to, whether you want them to get up and dance or feel comfortable during dinner, or whatever your purpose of DJing is, to where you're picking, you're able to read them and move them. And number 2, know your songs well enough that you don't have to go, what was this song begin with, or how does this do that, that you know them and you can grab them and mix them. Those are the 2 keys. So if you can do that, and through the stuff that I teach in my classes about putting cue points in, I could have a song, the way I do it, that I haven't touched in 10 years, haven't looked at, listened to in 10 years, and I could mix it. I don't like to do crates. I do the searches like the virtual DJ search. Mm-hmm. But crates are a good thing to have. And I've talked about this before, because we all get into those nights where our brain craps out.
Yep.
You could be a skilled programmer beyond your belief. You're going to have a bad night. So it's different. And I know later we're going to talk about like the crate diggers subscriptions and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I can tell more, some other ones that have come up and done the same thing that you didn't know that are tied in. But that's the one that I have a problem with. The people who can't deviate off the list.
So let's you mentioned crate diggers, and there's different that provide already put together a pre-designed set of music, or a crate of the banger songs that we play these songs together, whatever. Is this a tool for the beginning DJ, or is this something that you don't want to learn using this type of, that you want to learn, just to read the crowd from the beginning and not have that 3 songs in your pocket, knowing that these 3 work together type of thing?
There's nothing wrong with having songs that work together, knowing that. Again, taking someone else's list does not mean it's going to work for you. And it could work for 10 of the biggest DJs in the nation, and where you're at, it might be the absolute worst set that you can do. Mm-hmm. So if I would give somebody advice, it would be that if you don't know a genre, or you don't know something for an event, so let's say you're doing an over 60s birthday party and you don't know that era, I don't see a problem going and looking at a list of stuff for that, including, like I said, the crate diggers and all those kinds of things, to where they put together lists for more specific things.
Right.
But you also have to keep in mind that some of those people are just throwing them randomly in there. Other people are making the list to be spun in order, BPM wise. So you don't know what you're getting unless you know what you're doing. So having those there also isn't a big deal, because, John, I guarantee you do this, because I do this and every DJ does this. We play certain songs we like because we like them, not because we know the crowd's going to like them. We're like, I just want to play this song.
Yep, that
So
happens.
that guy could have put those kind of songs in that list, and they could be meaningless. So it's, are we talking just beginner DJ right now? I know I went off on a deep end.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and
beginner DJ, you've got a lot of musical knowledge that you have to catch up on, and I think that's the key you have to remember as a seasoned DJ. When you're looking at someone who's new, they simply have not had as many songs come across their palette as you have. So that's a big advantage you have. And as someone younger trying to get into it, or just new, okay, let's just say new, not younger, those can be good tools to help you get a jump start, because they've been around forever. I mean, look, I was just talking to somebody the other day about the promo only Platinum series. That's kind of what that was, wasn't it? A collection of songs per era.
Yeah, kind of. It really was the most requested songs for mobile DJs at that particular period.
It covered all genres. So if you needed a country, it had a whole list of country.
Yep.
If you needed a rockabilly, they were in there. Anything, and you could find them. And that's kind of a beginning crate. That was a 40 disc crate.
Yeah, very much so. Very much
so. That's it's something that has always been part of a DJ's life, and it is a tool. But if you lean on that crutch all the time and thoroughly, it will break. It will fail you.
It will. You mentioned that that a seasoned DJ has just had more music go in front of us or go across our palette. Does that make it easier then for a younger DJ to be more genre specific instead of being more of a open format? That a young DJ would be better off staying in their wheelhouse before branching out into other areas? Or is it something that they would be better off to branch out into a lot of areas and then refine their musical taste to what they're good at?
I will always tell someone to branch out. That's my thing. You don't, I just because you maybe know a genre, don't be afraid to step outside of that genre. If you can make money in that genre, run with it. Because I made running off EDM music until 2005, and I couldn't make a full-time living in this city at just EDM, and I had to branch out, and that was a stretch for me a little bit, because even still to this day, you've heard me tell stories that, the music that I play, I don't listen to outside of when I play it, ever, like literally never. So I'm looking at someone that it is more important to kind of have a general mindset about music to be able to mix it like I have, to where it's not an interest, it's not a favorite, it's not an anything, it's a I know my job sort of thing. And I know I come from a weird spot on that. So maybe I'm not the best. Maybe we really should have waited till Dan was here, to do that. And I know Dan's watching, so please feel free to comment, Dan, and I'll do my best Dan imitation. I don't have a Florida Gators hat, so we'll have to deal with that.
Yeah, sorry.
But it's, for a beginner, it's just hard, because the people in front of you are most of the time a multiple range of ages. Okay. So they're going to know in general more songs than you know, simply because this person may know 5 songs. This person knows 5 songs. This person knows 5 songs. And there's 15 songs from all different genres, different areas, that you now have to be knowledgeable on where to put it. So for a beginner, I would, number one, recommend don't be afraid of the crates, but don't lean on them. And number 2, try stuff outside your wheelhouse just to learn. Because if you're able to do that one extra thing, that night that they want an 80s night, and if you think you can pull it off and learn enough between now and that night you have the 80s night, you can open up a new door to make income. So but don't walk around acting like you already know it all. I think that's one of the biggest keys. Go into it. I need to learn. That kind of mindset. I need to learn, and it will really help you.
Let's kind of jump into grouping your music, even if you haven't pre selected the music for an event. Is there a method and flow that you like to do when it comes to playing? You hear people talk about they want to go from. I've heard some talk about they want to go from one key range to another. Some want to go from a certain BPM to another in this group of songs before resetting this set. Is this something that you do? And if so, is it important, or is it just something that happens a couple of times a night?
Are you saying important as in the
that
skill
you feel
to
that
do
the
it?
skill to do it? Yes,
absolutely. Because at any point I can change anything to anything. And that's one of the things with my classes. I teach 30 different ways to transition songs. So if I need to go from a really fast song to a really slow song, I have a way to do that. If I have to go from an old song to a new song, I can do that. It's just how you put the two songs together to keep the crowd engaged. So if it's a song from the 80s and you want to play a hip hop song from now, if they're in the same BPM range and they're not too far off in key, because I'm a firm believer that nobody hears keys like us or a musician. So you can go at least minimum 2 keys off, minimum, and mix that. And it can work if your crowd is open to that range of music. But again, it comes down to the ability to be able to mix those two, and you never feel at loss. You don't feel that's again, I think, why I don't go with the crates and follow them, because at any point I know I may need to completely deviate from the plan I already have. So if it's a crate and I don't know how to deviate from that crate quickly and efficiently, I'm going to crash and burn. In the same way that I like to just run with the feel of the crowd, is because I know I'm going to be moving and breathing with them as they're going. And I think that's one of the most important things as a young DJ, is to learn that flexibility, to be able to take two songs. If you know that you're at a hip hop thing and somebody asks for a rock song, good example. I was at a place one night, and I've told this story before, and somebody asked for, who was it? It was Nickelback. And I ain't got no Nickelback. I'm just telling you that much right now. But I knew that song would work at that place very well. So I went on to the streaming service, got it, and did a transition to where that came in with that, that thing, to where that became a prominent part of the mix, that to where they caught that hook. I caught them with those first notes, and immediately, front to back of the bar, just erupted in singing along. And that's how you kind of do that. Does that make any sense?
It does. Now let's just take the BPM side of it. You're wanting that flexibility. You're wanting to be able to change, in essence, on a dime, for lack of a better way to describe it. Do you pay attention to the BPM? So you want to start at this BPM and you want to keep working up, and you may have to jump genres, but you keep the BPM? Or is it sometimes you may jump and you may be going from something here, but with a mix, and all of a sudden you're back down to 107? How does that fit in?
Again, it's about keeping the crowd engaged.
Okay.
So if you can keep them engaged by ramping up your BPM, that works. But if they get bored halfway through, you're going to have to do something to keep their attention. So you need to have that ability to jump up, jump down, change its style up instantly. So again, I look at it, usually the most DJs do at least 3 songs in a row. Song playing, song to mix, song on deck. Okay. And if that's working somewhere in there, like let's say you get the second song and that is working, and you go, this third song is not quite there, swap it out with something else. If it's working, you then continue on with that. After a while, you'll see them get a little bit of boredom, and you'll change it up. And it's not always about BPMs. It's not always about genres. It's how the crowd is reacting. It can just be sing-alongs, and you could spend the night doing old sing-alongs and new sing-alongs. You can go, with a little or a baby so-and-so that they're going to sing along with, and then drop back to like a late early 2000s rock thing that they sing along with. Like, what was the one by Lit? My Own Worst Enemy. And I've mixed from like hip hop in that same BPM range into that, because it's got that guitar. And I'll take the outbeat on that one and layer them, and they know it's coming because of the guitar, and then they just drop right into it. So about, being able to, like, again, that's why I go the way I do, because that thing is changing all night. If you have a core group of people that all go to the restroom or buy a drink all at once, everything's changed. You may immediately need to start playing for dudes because all the girls went to the restroom, or vice versa. So am I making sense here? Because I don't see what I do as lists. I'm generally in here or generally in there. I kind of want to take it here, and I keep it very live and light, and I'm not gripping it to death. I'm letting it flow and do what it wants to do. But yet again, I'm manipulating and maneuvering them to keep them happy. Oh, we got to change it up. They're being a little Oh, it's sing along. Okay, we got them for sing along. Okay, that sort of thing.
You mentioned the phrase, you want to take them to a certain spot, or you take them here. You've got here, you have an idea in your mind, you want to take them here at a point in time. Let's say you're 15 minutes out, you want them to be here in 15 minutes. How far out? I mean, if you start working that and you have to take a detour, how hard are you going to work to still get here, knowing that this could be a great point?
Sometimes you work real hard. Like if I'm at a place and I know that it's got the highest attendance at midnight or 12:30 or 1 a.m., I'll hold something off to blow the freaking roof off of that tour. I'll go 30 minutes out and go, I'm going to play this in 30 minutes. This is going to go crazy. And I will build up to it in some sort of way to be creative, to keep them going, just where it's just a little bit back, where they're a little bit hungry, and then bam, you just drop it on them and they go freaking bananas.
Oh, I know. I Want a New Drug does that for every dance floor I got to. It does. It really does. It's a great song. Great song.
Now, when Mobamba came out, that was one of those ones that was just kind of crazy. And you other than 3 or 4 places I DJ that absolutely would not let you play it, because there's places that do not play that song here. We don't want that played. But the places that allowed it, you waited to the right point, and that became an eruption in the room. And you just set it up to where you had everybody there, and you dropped it. And if you hook them on that, there's a chance that you can keep that hook flowing for a while.
So let's say that time is midnight, just to pick a time. How long would you start working backwards on the clock, when would you start building towards that?
Again, it depends upon how the crowd is reacting. So if the crowd is reacting quickly, so if I'm dropping something and they go with me that direction, I don't have to, I can wait till it gets close to that time. I don't have to go out so far. But if they're being a little bored, and I have to kind of build them up and keep them there and tease them and quick mix and different things to keep their attention. But other times, like I said, if they're engaged, you can do a long version of a song and they'll keep engaged, and you'll do, to me, you can't take a list of songs that will work with every crowd. It just doesn't happen. That's the best thing I can tell you. You can have songs that will be popular with most crowds that's still not going to work on anything. Did someone say something about, listen, Megan, say, Dan, I did it for you, Dan. So again, it's just, that's all the way I can explain it. And I hope if you've spent any time DJing, you've seen the crowd move in front of you. You've watched them breathe and move and change. And that, I think, is what a DJ does, is we stay in the background, and I write about this in my book that's coming out, that we manipulate that crowd through emotions, nostalgia, energy, feel, camaraderie with other people. That's the sing-alongs become you're joining in with everybody else. You're just as a group. And you take all of those tools and you keep their attention as long as you can. And you will have dips. And sometimes I've let the dip. Just let it drop, because you'll build it up again. So am I making sense? Because it's hard for me, because I know I don't hear music and see that the way most DJs do.
Yeah, no, you're doing fine. I'm just taking us in some directions here and such that I think that help to tell the story.
And
so,
if you are in the chat room and I'm losing you, just type in a hashtag losing me, and I'll explain something again. We'll go with that.
If we need to, I can start pulling out some of my great albums from up here. We could talk about those. So if you guys really want to go into some quality tunes, we can go there.
If we do that, then I'm going to have to start sniffing markers to get through the night.
Yeah, give us your Sharpie. Yeah.
I don't even know why I have this giant thing here. Why is it on my desk?
I don't know. There's not much you can write. You can write on anymore. It used to be for
I think I was scratching something out that I was throwing away and I didn't want information on. I think that's what it was there for, paperwork or whatever. Anyways, back to picking songs, playlists. Again, with virtual, the way I do it, I do the string searches. And those of you guys don't know what a string search is on that, it's basically, so instead of doing crates, I have everything tagged. And I can type in there 100-105. So that's now going to look at my entire music library and now bring up everything between 100 BPM and 105. Then I leave a space, and I can do 2 different ways I can do it. I can do 2000-2010, and that's going to bring up all the songs between 100 and 105. between 2000, 2010, or I can also put a subcategory, which I do on all of them. So OO and the letter S, like 90s, 90S, the early 2000s are OOS. So if I go 100, 105 space OOS, that's now going to bring up all the songs that are within that. And then I can go after that and go, am I going to go with hip hop, urban, dance, remix, pop, throw that in there, and then that narrows it down. So I'm doing the crates in reverse. Instead of putting them in there, I'm putting them as searchable, and virtual is then going, okay, you want some of these, you want some of these, because I'm putting in criteria. And that's kind of, it's a reverse thing for me, that if I'm somewhere with a song that I then go, okay, I want to keep this feeling. What is this feeling? This feeling is peppy, mid 110s to 120. And that's the Michael Jackson. That's the Justin Timberlake and Jason Derulo's. It's those peppy kind of things. And I can stay in there by doing that range because I know a lot's in there. But if I need to step out of that, I can still take that same peppy feel at a different BPM if I need to. Because songs are different, and that's where you would do a switch up, stay with the same sort of feel, but a different BPM.
So we need to spend a little time talking about how you manage your music library, because you
Are
do it
you
differently.
sure you want to do this?
You do this a little differently. So stick with my questions on this one, because if you guys want more information on it, come on Wednesday nights when MJ goes into this in depth.
Yeah, this Wednesday, we're back with the Music and Mixing Show. It is another virtual DJ night, 9 p.m. this Wednesday, the 29th. Please join me.
It is, 29th. It's coming quick. First off, you don't download everything that when it's released from you're not grabbing and throwing a whole album in like a lot of DJs do from the services. You go and pick and choose. First off, when did you start with that methodology as opposed to just accumulating tens of thousands of songs?
That's an easy one. Okay, so I want to do a couple things here. Someone in the chat said club DJ versus mobile is way different. Absolutely. Again, that to me is looking at your crowd. He says nobody gets dancing until he plays the different salsas and bachatas and different things. There isn't a whole lot of place here in this city. You can play a little bit of that, but all they want to hear is the slow hip hop. So that may work for you, but you don't know. So with those, and the way I do mine is that I was forced to take albums until promo only kind of really brought that genre of stuff in with CDs. You didn't have much of a choice. I did buy a lot of singles. Those of you who don't know what a single is, it's a single song on a tape. Like a 45 is a single song, a single was that. And a single CD was the same thing, would have like 5 versions of the same song, which I bought a buttload of those. And I pretty much never bought albums because to me, it's just useless to buy an album because you rarely are going to play more than 1 or 2 songs off an album.
Right.
It's a waste. But when it all started really clicking for me is the whole Napster era, LimeWire, all of that, to where I could pick the song I want. I did not have to buy a CD single that has 5 versions of something that I only want 1 version of, or if I want, whatever. When I'm able to download, and now with today, the way the music services are, I can get what I want one by one, because I do not need to fill my library up with useless music that I have never played nor will ever play. And people say, well, I have to have this. I have to have, I want to ask you, John, how many terabytes do you travel with when you go out?
I've
and your
got,
son, like
between music video and music, it's on a 5 terabyte hard drive, and
5 terabytes,
and it's probably a little over 4 terabyte used.
I'm going to look right now, and I'm going to tell you how much that I carry when I travel. And remember, I'm DJing multiple nights a week. I'm DJing at both the casinos here now. I'm DJing private parties. I'm doing all kinds of bars, everything. Okay, and what I travel with is. You are going to flip your brain out. There's my D drive. And then DJ music. Oops, don't do that. Almost just renamed the D drive.
That would go over well with virtual. I'd love that.
265 gigabytes. Full-time professional DJ. 265 gigabytes. 13,598 songs, full time. And Never at a loss for songs.
And that's music videos in there.
Yes, music videos, audio, karaoke is not in that. That's a different file. Because I don't do karaoke. So that's or karaoke as I'm finding many Minnesotians saying it.
Really?
I also use virtual DJ streaming service with iDJ Pool and the Deezer, so I can pull stuff from that at any moment of any day. And if you're staying with the hit songs and paying attention, this is very important nowadays to pay attention to the TikTok songs. You can grab those from most services. BPM Supreme literally has a download section called TikTok songs. So you can get, they're literally labeled as part of the genre TikTok songs. So that's something to think about. But you don't need all the stuff that you have. And if you download just boatloads of stuff and never go through it, think about what you're having to deal with every time you have to update a drive or change something. I have my entire library, everything in my Google Drive. So at any point, anything could happen. And those of you who saw the video I did with Virtual DJ, you can tie into your Google Drive from any computer. So if crap happened, I would still be able to use Virtual DJ and DJ from the cloud. If crap happened and I had nothing, no external, let's say my computer broke, my external drive broke, the emergency drive, everything, I still have that. You just don't need that much stuff. And if I talk to anybody who has a bunch, like you said, what was it, 2 terabyte you said?
We've got 5 terabyte hard drives.
5 terabytes. Okay, so let's say you pared that down to just what you need. What would the number you think it would be? If you pared it down to just...
If we would go down to things that we played in the past, just that, we could be probably down to... And a music video obviously is a problem. But... I've taken the most, a few years ago, I took the most played, the top 2,000 songs that we had played, and I put those on an iPad, just the music versions of it. And those would have been the audio of the music videos. Yeah. So you're talking, what was that, 128 gig or less? Because I was on the thumb drive and I put it on my iPad.
So if you even drop down to a terabyte, 1 terabyte, under 1 terabyte, you would still have plenty, wouldn't you?
Oh, easily. If I would throw out the songs that we haven't played, even if I just left the last 2 years, and if I go back and I started removing things, that are 3 years and older that have never been played, I could clean up a lot.
Yeah. And so that's part of the working with the crowd thing is not having, I can do a search for a BPM and a this and a that, and come up with, let's say I come up with 1,000 songs. If you did that same search with 5 terabytes, you'd have a whole lot more than 1,000 songs.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So that's part of, I think. Oh
wow! Did you see Paul's post here? That's a great one.
Several years ago, I analyzed all my wedding history files, and in 1 year, I had 200 distinct songs. So wedding DJs are another one. Unless a bride or groom asks you for a specific song for their whatever entrance or first dance, and probably a lot of those are repeat. There's probably going to be what would you say, at least 50% of the songs you play at every single wedding? At a given time, a few years ago, yes, I would say that.
I think that one of the things with the last fall, with the couple of weddings this spring and then this summer, is that musical tastes have even become more eclectic.
Yes.
And that many of we don't want to hear, these standard wedding songs. And it's like, well, how many weddings have you been to in the last 18 months? Oh, we haven't, but we just, it's been so overplayed at weddings. Well, yeah, back when there were weddings. But that's as I have purchased more things that didn't make promo only and didn't make, any of our music services for the last 3 weddings that we did than ever before. It was crazy. 30 some songs. How can there be 30 songs that didn't make it to one of our music services? But
that actually happens a lot. That's why, if you go again, I went through this last, when I did my last music mixing show, we went on to I keep going Virtual DJ. That's Wednesday night. Went on to Disc Jockey News' website and we did a search for crates because somebody said we wanted to do a thing on crates, and how many videos came up that has been put on this channel by a bunch of different people, myself, Dan, John, Brian, Jeremy. All these guys did videos on crates. So all this stuff that we're talking about, songs, there's videos out there for them. So you can look at what John's saying is about the new songs, and you can pick through stuff that you know you do. And you can also go out and look on the web and find people saying these are the hot songs right now. And it's more than the traditional stuff. And you do have to go to services like I did on my one show, taking back to what I was trying to make a point of. The one show, I talked about where I get them from. And one of my services is not a technical legal service, but I find stuff there that I've had people say, I can't find this anywhere. Can you find it there? And I go there and I find it. There are nights where I can't find it anywhere, but it's on YouTube, and I will rip it from YouTube and play it. And you go, oh, but it doesn't mean quality. It's not the same. But it doesn't matter. I got the song, you don't. So if we're DJing next to each other, they're going to walk away from you and come over to me because I have the song. It may not be a super high-end quality, but I'm able to press play on it, and you don't. Yeah. So get what you need. Go outside of that, get what you need. You know, branch out. But it's not rocket science to me. And this is where I have trouble with some of these, because to me, I'm going to be honest with you. And I know my brain picks up on music way different than everybody else. I know that. But this is not rocket science, what we do. You know, having songs each week to play it's not difficult. You know, and again, I do this full time, you know, and it's not difficult.
I think there's a couple of things though that when you using the phrase being difficult, I think there's a level of paralysis by analysis that we can overthink it. I think that's a big part of it.
Yes.
Having way too much music, it can be overwhelming because you do that sort and there's 1,000 entries. So then the only ones you're going to play are the top 3 because you've seen, oh my gosh, I could peruse this list forever type of situation. Myself personally, when I need to have something from the 90s, I have a lot of those DVDs that Promo only put out that had the best of the 90s, and I would search that, which would be like taking the hit songs as opposed to every song. And then I think the other is that we start thinking, well, what are the people going to think of me if I need to dazzle the guests and I have to do something that's fun and exciting, and we can start to put expectations in place that really don't need to be there, because the people just want to listen and have a good time 9 times out of 10. And yet we're thinking that we have to do something godlike to entertain them. And sometimes it's just playing a song that makes them feel good.
Again, my job that I get hired for every place is the ability to keep them going without ever talking on the mic. I finished a gig last Friday, and it just happened that they had a good crowd there that night. Okay. And it was like a happy hour type thing. So I was done at 9 p.m. and I was done, and a guy comes up and he's like, "Are you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm done now." You know, and he's like, "Well, I'll give you $100 to keep playing." And I said, "Well, the manager has to agree with this, right, you know." Right. And the manager said no, but it's that sort of thing where I did not talk on the mic the whole night. I didn't get out and dance with anybody. I played music and I mixed and kept them having fun and excited to the point where some dude wanted to give me $100 and everybody was behind them going, absolutely, whatever it takes. And the manager
said, thanks, but
we're shutting down. Because it was an outdoor thing. And so it's what you can do with what you have. Like back in the day, John, you probably remember this when you were a kid, people race cars and somebody would be like, "Oh, you got nitrous tonight." Well, I don't even know if you were into that then, but I'll race you, but you can't use nitrous, you know. And it was always, we always called it run what you brung, because we were the motorcycle side. You said, "I'm faster than you, but I can't do that on this bike. I have to get a different bike." Well, you just said you were faster than me. So either you're faster or you're not. So run what you brung. So if I show up with a quarter of a terabyte and you show up with 5 terabytes, I'm going to run with what I got. You run with what you got. And your skill of reading the crowd, mixing everything, is what's going to get you through. And if you have that skill, you could cut that down to, like he said, 200 songs,
Right.
and kill it with that ability.
Oh yeah, I mean, you've really, if you go through and you look at even virtual DJ and how it counts the songs, I bet if I would go right now, and I think it reset itself about a year and a half ago or so. It was sometime in 2019, my computer reset itself because there should be hundreds of plays on my closing song, and there wasn't. I bet you there's not 200 songs. It might be maybe 250. There's not going to be that many songs that have been played.
Mine's running back 10 years to 2010.
Yeah, I see. You know how to manage it better, but yeah, for some reason I've reset.
So I can look at things and it even tells you like the last time you played it or the first time it showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at stuff but I still find, and again, you saw what I had. I told you what I have. I still find songs that go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I had that. And then immediately start putting it into rotation at places and it's a hit. And it's like, I've had this song for 7 years. And this version people love, and you can do that and you can get so over. I just wrote the word right as I was saying it. There are too many songs overwhelming. You can get overwhelmed by yourself. Again, if you come into it, we started just talking about crates. You can come into it with an organized crates. Back in the day, some people did it by BPM because that's the way a lot of them were kind of put together. You're in a BPM range. Other ones was by genre only, depending on what you do. But with today's software, you can do genre, BPM, everything. You can put it all together and really get specific at what you want to do with that crowd. And you can just throw little nibbles out there. There was an episode of Family Guy where they were trying to catch, I can't think of his name, Ed Wood or whatever his name was. And they tried all these things to catch him, and they finally caught him by leaving little pieces of candy up to a box with a stick on it. And he went in and they caught him, and he kept going, oh, piece of candy, oh, piece of candy, oh, piece of candy. And that's what I kind of look at this going as I DJ. It's like, here's a little piece of candy. Have your candy. Okay, you ready? Here's a piece of candy. And that's what I kind of try to do the whole night is I just manipulate them in a loving way. And I don't mean to use that word to make it sound terrible, but I am trying to emotionally and mentally herd them into this living, breathing thing for as long as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Some nights it's so easy, it's not even funny. Other nights I could shoot myself in the head and it wouldn't help. I mean, that's just as simple as that.
They just wouldn't care. They just keep doing
it. They would go like, I'm just going to go drink at the bar.
Yeah.
I literally have had places, private gigs where they told me like, we're warning you ahead of time. Nobody dances. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, no. We just want to make you know, we've had other DJs before that we don't dance. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Cause like, I don't run into that. Like people, if people aren't dancing at my gig, I'm checking to see if the speakers are turned off. And sure enough, I could not for anything get them away from the bar.
Mm.
It blows my mind. Certain crowds, and that was their thing, is that soon as they were released, it was a corporate Christmas party. They all went directly to that bar on the far side of the room, and they never left that cubby hole, ever. It was mind blowing. So you will have don't let your bad days. I always tell people, don't let your bad days make you feel like that's what your worth is. In the same sense, don't let your absolutely successful, big, good days be your worth. Because if you believe the hype, you have to believe the crap, and neither one of those is the true you when it comes to doing your job. So you kind of have to let the good days go. That was a blessing. And the bad days, you just have to let it go and go, tomorrow's another one. I'm going to do it different. Or next weekend or whatever your thing is. It's a struggle. You will have good days and bad days picking. No one will ever be perfect at this. It's just one of those things because it's a living, breathing thing. You can't, it's like a baby. You can entertain a baby, but there's points when the baby's not going to be entertained by you. And I don't mean to talk a crowd on a baby, but you know what I'm talking about. Is where you keep them from crying. There's just going to become a point when a baby cries and there's not a lot you can do. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of what this is it's your mental thing with the crowd. And I swear, I will tell you that if you are having fun, that will help you out more than anything.
Yeah.
Because that is infectious on visual, and just the vibe that you put off is infectious. And it can make an average DJ seem like a good DJ because he is in that moment with that crowd. And and everyone just loses themselves for that song or two songs or whatever. And that's a magical thing to be able to be in that unison with a large crowd like that. And you just there, and it's so living and breathing. And I know I'm proud. People out there like, oh, I just press play at the wedding or whatever. If I lose you, I'm so sorry, but it's just my journey in this. And I hope, John,
and I think
that I've answered the right question.
Yeah, and I think that there is, we've had those experiences. But I do think there's also a struggle at weddings, especially in a diverse area where you have people coming from a small town and you have people coming from a larger city and you have people coming from a more of an, or whatever, is we don't have that homogeneous musical tastes anymore. You don't have, especially after a year of people basically listening to their own music at their desk, whatever. We don't have those shared experiences, and now they're having to be either we're flashing back 10 years with our music so that they're all singing the Backstreet Boys together, or we have got people who are in 17 different places. And that's something that will be
a friend of mine said years ago, he owned a bunch of radio stations, and he said that his programming for all his stations completely changed the day that Apple and the iPod put the shuffle button in. Mm-hmm. And that has completely changed to where people, before you would listen. I mean, you bought an album, you listen to that album, and that whole album's in that one genre. But now you could have someone dropping, a show tune on their phone nowadays, their Spotify or whatever, and right after the show tune comes some Drake. And that's not uncommon. So you can get away with those switches where before people would look at you like you're from Mars. But if you do it right, it can work because you can use the diversity for you too. As much as it's fighting against you, you can use it for you too.
All right, we should wrap things up here. Howie's got a kind of a fun show that he'll be coming up with next. They're going to be talking about, actually I'm going to put this into the chat room here, but they're going to be talking about safety tips and best practices for your events to keep your gear and the guests and yourself and everyone as safe as possible. So that will be the discussion. You can go to DJNTV.com/chill, and they'll be recording that for the first roughly half hour. So from 10 o'clock roughly to 10:30 Eastern tonight, they'll be doing the recording, and then after that, everyone will jump in, and then you guys can have a chat and talk about life. Oh, it posted, double posted, triple posted.
Triple, I have triple on mine.
Yeah, triple posted there.
Boom! So, it's like a triple horn.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going on. Earlier today, I put up a video talking about a little wireless system, and I've had people asking a lot of questions after it went up. So we're going to do the 30-second overview of what this is. This is the little case that the battery case, and these are the Rode. They're a little wireless. This is the receiver. It's a 2-channel receiver. And then there are two similar sized, they are a lapel type thing where they'll clip onto your shirt if you want to. And what these will do is you can put this on. What I've done with it is I've got the little cell phone holder. I put my cell phone in here. It's got a cold shoe at the top, and the little clips will also allow you to use the cold shoe. So now I have this wired into my phone, and then I have the two other microphones that two people can wear. And today's video that I posted showed using a wired lav with these, and then using them they're by themselves. But it's a cool little system that we can take to like trade shows, like MJ and I do when we head to DJ Expo and different shows. And we could set this up. We wear one, have someone else wear one, and then we could actually do an interview and have the audio that can be much cleaner than trying to get it on a phone with all the ambient noise going. A couple of cool things with these is that these little transmitters will actually record the audio and they can internally store about 7 hours of audio in here. So if I want to, I can set it up so they'll record here and they'll send it to my phone. If there's an audio glitch or there's an interference between this and a receiver, it's still saved in here. Now, if MJ and I were together and MJ's quieter than me, that won't happen. But anyway, so if MJ would be quieter than me, because the audio of both of these are stored on it, we could literally bring the audio tracks in and adjust them. And multi-track recording is a possibility. So, and the more I'm digging into those, the more cool little features. That's the Rode Wireless Go 2. I dropped a video on that with some lav mics. But if you're into that world that we do a lot of trade shows and such, it's some cool stuff to check out. And I've been comparing those to some of the direct from China pieces that are out there, and there's some couple of the Chinese pieces have some neat things, but when you start reading reviews, you've got, the ones that are seeded reviews that are like, oh my God, these are the greatest things ever. Oh, these are the greatest things ever. And then there's the guy who actually bought one and paid for it with his own money. And he's like, I was disappointed. So anyway, so that's that I wanted to make sure. Wednesday, you're going to be, you got a music, a virtual DJ show coming up Wednesday night?
Yes. 9 p.m. Yeah.
9 p.m. Eastern.
Wednesday, the 29th.
And then, of course, recording tonight. And then we'll have, tomorrow night, we'll have a Howie, and then Brian and Jay are going to be doing the recording. Howie will be at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, Eastern, 10 o'clock. Brian and Jay will be in the chill room at DJNTV.com/chill. And then we'll have Brian and Jay up on YouTube on Wednesday night also before MJ goes live, or maybe after work better. So it'll be 10 o'clock.
Same time. It's okay.
We'll get him. We'll get him.
We'll get
everything all figured out.
Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, because that makes this video go up through and more people get to see it and learn the stuff that you got to learn. So
yes, and thank you guys.
Take some time and give it a thumbs up.
Thank you for being with us. We had a really good crowd tonight. Must be because Dan wasn't around. I'm just going to say it out loud. Of course,
love you, Dan.
I think Dan's off. He had to go get his son from football, so I think that's where he's at. So once again, go on out to DJNTV.com/chill and hang out with Howie tonight, and we'll catch you guys next time. Good night, everybody.